Haha! So remember when I made a video about Sonic Generations and the future of 3D Sonic games? Well, I think we can all agree that Sonic Generations was
a lot of fun. This is really whimsical.
But, well, here we are in the future of 3D Sonic with Sonic Lost World, and things are pretty different. But are all these weird, colorful bits in my Sonic soup so super strange? Sorta. Sonic Lost World takes place in the Sonic Colors universe, which I assume is its own thing, because this franchise is about as consistent as a fucking gumball machine. So that means we're keeping it simple. Sonic and Tails go somewhere to fight Eggman while Amy and Knuckles fuck around with the FaceTime feature on their new iSega. Or maybe the Sega Pad. Or maybe the game Sonic. Eggman's up to his usual nefarious deeds of stuffing absurdly adorable animals into robots, and Sonic's trying to get him to cut that shit the fuck out. However, to ensure his victory, this time Eggman has enlisted the help of the Deadly Six, a colorful troupe of paper-thin villain archetypes called Zeddy. And by enlist, I mean enslave, because Eggman has the people skills of a nuclear bomb with a cold and the inability to cover his mouth when he coughs. Just as he's starting to get somewhere with his bullshit, Sonic accidentally frees the Zeddy, who then proceed to try and kill him. They're pretty ungrateful. This story's about what I expected. It's aimed at kids, all the drama's pretty fucking lame, a lot of it falls flat on its damn face.
You could have gotten yourself killed!
You know, a lot of the comedy is actually the best part of the story, especially because Cubot and Norbot come back, and I freaking love those guys. Some pretty good one-liners in there. The Zeddy are kinda, whatever, but you'll move on. It is a Sonic story after all. But there's more to this game than the story, of course. We have the jumping and the running, the various blueness, some power-ups, the rings, some things I have to talk about. I don't know, let's just get on with it. Sonic Lost World is difficult to discuss. At first, the game hit me really hard. Despite having played it at E3, everything felt kinda strange and Sonic was almost too precise. Parkour was tough and, it all just felt weird. But then, once I got a hang of switching between walking, running, and spin dashing, I really fell into the game. Worlds 1 through 4 were an incredible mix of fun gameplay experiences. World 5, Silent Forest, was incredibly frustrating though, and the game really started kicking my ass at that point. Many levels felt unfair and unforgiving right up until World 7, the final world. After beating the game, I was divided, so I went back, I farmed up to 99 lives and really figured out the game and replayed all the levels I hated. And I didn't hate them anymore. The journey I took with this game, well, it baffles me, it's fucking weird. I don't really understand how a game could unbad to the degree that this game is unbadded. I thought it was amazing, and then I thought it was a pile of shit. Then I examined the shit to see just how much of it was my own, or whether or not it was the game's, and well, I liked it a lot more. And I realized that that's really just due to one major problem: a lack of introduction. But before I can get to that lack of introduction, I have to introduce you to the game's mechanics. The big hullabaloo with this game was the parkour mechanics. Sonic the Blue Blur. Fastest runner ever, fastest driver ever, best tennis player, even a UFC champion, could do so many more things than free run. But that's what they went with.
Well, there you go, folks. The motion is passed unanimously.
I didn't raise my hand.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Eggman. Fortunately, all the wall running, vaulting, kicking, and wall climbing work absolutely perfectly. Unfortunately, all the wall running, vaulting, kicking, and wall climbing feel particularly finicky. You see, a major element of Sonic Lost World is this 3-tiered control system Sonic now operates on. Normal Sonic movement is akin to a brisk walk, while holding down ZR activates sprint mode. With ZR held, Sonic will run his trademark style, though perhaps slightly slower than in the past, and in this mode can free run. When I say can free run, I mean he'll run up and over any and all things he can put his silly fucking shoes on. This propensity for parkour Sonic has is very frustrating early on, and the game never properly instructs you on it. But once you realize that holding ZR is literally the only way to use the parkour system, you'll figure it out. Just let go when you don't want to parkour up stuff, and hold it down when you do. Once you just figure that out, the game is pretty easy to control. On top of the parkour mechanics, color powers make a return. Since this is the Wii U version, of course Sega had to make sure to integrate the powers with the gamepad correctly. Since this is the Wii U version, of course Sega forces you to look at the gamepad every fucking time you want to use a color power. Drill and Rocket are really the only powers that you're ever gonna have to use to progress, and the worst one, Rhythm, is entirely optional and fucking stupid. But that's no excuse. They stop being a problem near the end of the game once you've learned how to use them efficiently, and frankly, they're really just there to get you more rings, but it's still an annoyance. So you see, momentum break or otherwise, the color powers aren't particularly fun. They're just excuses to have color powers in the game as far as I can understand, and frankly, if they're not fun, they really shouldn't be there in the first place. The final and most pivotal and fantastic piece of the gameplay ever to see the light of day in a Sonic game throughout. The final and most pivotal and frankly the shittiest thing in the game. Well, let me demonstrate.
Everything's gone cattywampus.
So, 100 rings no longer gets you a life. I don't know why, I don't really understand it. Frankly, I see it this way. You have Sonic, rings, and you got robots, right? Sonic is protected from the robots by the rings. Now, if he gets hit by the robots, he loses the rings. Bummer that, right? But if you do really well and you keep your rings, you get another life. That allows you to play the game longer, obviously, or just be a little bit more risky, or test out alternate paths, whatever. You get to have more fun that way. Getting that 100 rings gives you another life, gives you more fun. So what happened here? The levels, which I will get to once I am done being pissed off, are full of rings. All the color powers get you more rings. Nifty paths get you more rings. Killing these spiders get you more rings. Going to Kate Jewelers get you more rings. Not sleeping enough get you more rings. Telemarketers give you more rings. So why don't my rings get me more lives? This game is almost as stingy with lives as real life is. It's very rare you'll find an extra life in the latter half of the game, and since 100 rings don't do nothing, it's also very rare you'll have much of a surplus. Sonic Lost World is pretty tough, and I actually do enjoy the challenge. There were moments of frustration, yes, but overcoming them was immensely satisfying. Yet they would have been more satisfying if I hadn't seen this fucking screen so many times. Those three design choices really detract from only the first playthrough of Sonic Lost World. Like I said, it gets rectified later, but even in the first one, there's still plenty of stuff to love. Not to mention that thing I mentioned about me actually enjoying the game, which I'll mention again later. The biggest new feature of the game, the way Sonic controls, initially piqued my interest quite a bit. You see, the walk, sprint, dash system works too well, even for its own good at times. It's actually pretty easy to go from Blue Blur to Careful the Hedgehog. But, while Windy Hill Zone 1, the very first level of the game, shows off a lot of the new stuff that Sonic can do, it really doesn't teach you how to do it properly. It doesn't teach you how easy it is to wall run. You're gonna have to figure that shit out on your own. Now, there are hints all throughout the first level, but most people who have played a Sonic game would never think to check hints when they can at least stumble their way through, learning as they go. And stumble I did. I stumbled my way through the beginning levels as well as the latter half of the game. There was just so much scale. There's a lot going on in Sonic Lost World, and most of it looks pretty fucking awesome. So the desire, especially if you have an experience with Sonic, to just go and figure it out on your own, kinda ends up hurting you in the ass this time. You see, throughout the game are some incredibly unique ideas for levels. The designs are spread across 2D platforming segments, perma-run dash segments, and tubular 3D segments. Most of the levels will consist of multiple sections of different types and encourage you to change playing styles on the fly, or on the roll. Sometimes you'll be running around juicers disguised as planetoids, and sometimes you'll be grinding on a rail through the ocean. There are some recycled ideas from previous Sonic games, and in fact I got a mysteriously strong feeling of nostalgia for Sonic Adventure 2, but most of the levels feel like new, nifty variety for Sonic to play through. And so with these awesome designs, I never really wanted to stop playing. Even when the game was being really mean or felt unfair, I didn't have enough lives, I kept seeing that motherfucking game over screen, I wasn't really too discouraged. I was disappointed, yes. It really sucks when you see a really cool level that you're playing through, you're enjoying, and all of a sudden there's this part and you hate it, and it sucks, and it really just brings the experience down. But I try not to let that stop me, and well, I enjoy the game more for it. Sonic Lost World's creativity and scale create this drive to play and conquer when, really, you're in no position to beat the game by the time you arrive at World 7. With no introduction to how the game really works, I fought the mechanics in almost every zone. I was determined to play as haphazardly as I did in Generations, but the level design and parkour mechanics demand a brand new outlook on Sonic. They demand you play the game their way. So I did. And by "so I did," I mean I farmed lives by slamming Sonic into a honeycomb for about 8 minutes. After that, I retackled every level I hated, the ice levels, most of Worlds 5, and I beat them all handily. All it took was some acceptance. You have to manage walking, sprinting, and spin dashing very precisely. If you want to just crash through every level, just go play Sonic Generations or Unleashed. This game really isn't for you. And frankly, this game isn't for everyone in general. It has problems, it has design flaws, it has giant birds, and sometimes I feel like I don't really know what to do about that. But the average experience is fun. I did thoroughly enjoy this game after revisiting it for a second playthrough, and even through most of my first playthrough. That doesn't excuse the major flaw of not being introduced properly to the mechanics, and frankly having to farm lives really kind of just to have fun, or rather explore some of the stuff I didn't understand. But it doesn't mean I didn't have fun. I did have fun. I had plenty of fun. The game is not fantastic, it's not even great, but it's certainly playable and enjoyable. The only thing that's really not all that enjoyable, even across the board, is the bosses. They are kind of a letdown. The Zeti have vibrant but simple designs, and they had my attention early on. However, they're so one-dimensional, I feel like I can't even hate them properly.
Who are you calling fat? You?
Each one shows up, says some unpleasant things at Sonic,
Are you disrespecting me?
Maybe.
and then just runs away.
Cattywampus!
However, to help build tension on boss stages, the bosses will make these comments as you make your way to the showdown. These actually build up a bit of anticipation, surprisingly.
He's so upbeat, I want to beat him up.
You're thinking about making it to the boss and how the boss will play, and then you beat the boss in like a minute and you feel completely unfulfilled. At least after the boss fight is over, the boss gives you that awesome boss post-defeat speech. After the boss is over, they belt a quip.
Only the Reaper wins in the end.
Then they leave. And then the level ends. They build the drama, and then they just leave it there. No idea how anyone could think that ending something that important in that nature would be a good idea. Hey everybody, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed making it. And don't forget about all the likes and the subscribes and shit and comments, blah blah blah. But hey, look, there's another video in the annotations. What is that? It looks like it's a Balrog the Master video. Oh my god. He's probably gonna complain about Sonic Lost World. I don't fucking know. I haven't seen it yet because I finished first. So go ahead and watch that shit, I guess. Unless it sucks. Does it suck, Balrog? Yeah? Okay, never mind. Don't watch it then. Bye.